Well, people, we now have seats. Up next, we have my friend Thomas Cabin performing. Yeah, thank you for coming, everybody. Great seeing you. That doesn't mean you should leave. All right, well, let's have Thomas perform.
Hello, my name is Thomas Cabin. That's at Havoc Mantis on Twitter, and I actually have a tweet that's doing really well right now, so we'll try to keep this quick. I really like math and physics, and boy is my brain tired. And I think I'll talk about that a lot tonight, so I apologize in advance for that. So math. I've loved math ever since I've been a lazy little shit, really. And that's because for other subjects, you have to memorize a lot of things, but you don't have to do that for math. And it really doesn't matter whether you're memorizing that the mitochondria is the shower house of the cell, or Christopher Columbus sailed the ocean green in 2015. It's really all the same process. If you don't know all the answers to that test, as soon as you walk through the door, you're completely screwed. Because it's not like you can just sit down and then think really hard and derive from first principles which president it was who died from eating way too many cherries. It's a real thing that happened, by the way. I'm serious. And then if you have like a geography test and you have to remember all the states, that's like 50 states. Do you know how many that is? That's like, I came up with this before I knew I had to hold a mic, but that's like this many times. That's insane. I probably don't even know 50 things about math, and I've been studying it pretty much my whole life. There's like addition, subtraction, differentiation, integration, tits and lip shits are the names of mathematicians that are really funny. Proof complete, QED. Now physics. I've loved physics ever since I learned that it's basically just math with words. And then I've hated physics ever since I learned that it was math with words that are shitty and awful. Because the words tell you what you can and can't do. And that's bullshit, because in math you can do whatever the hell you want as long as you don't divide by zero. And I mean, you can just get wasted, fuck up a game of connect the dots so badly that a 5-year-old would facepalm. And then if someone calls you out about it the next day, be like, oh, that's a graph. I just had a theory about graphs. A graph theory, you could say. And they just invented graph theory. It's like a huge branch of mathematics. Does it have any practical applications? Who the hell cares? That's for physicists to find out. I mean, it turns out that it does, but you don't have to care about that when you're wasted on a Saturday evening and all you have is an issue of highlights for kids. So basically, math is just physics, but without all the pesky practical applications. And physics is kind of like math, except nature gets in your way. She tells you what you can't do, because sometimes I'll be doing a problem and I'll be pulling out all my coolest math tricks, all my smoothest moves, and then nature will be like, oh, but actually you can't do that. You have to obey the principle of least action. And I'll be like, well, thanks, I actually already was obeying the principle of least action. Thank you very much. Like a sex thing. And then I've been a math and physics major ever since about the second week of college. Because the first week I was an electrical engineering major because I thought, hey, I like math and physics, and they do math and physics, so I'll do that. And on like the first day, I took an electrical engineering class, and they're like, okay, students, in this class, you'll learn how to make electronic devices. And I was like, hold on there, buckaroo. Are you saying that in this class, I'm going to have to learn how to engineer devices that are electronic in nature? I did not sign up for this. Sidebar, that's exactly what I signed up for. So I decided, hey, I'll do math and physics major instead. And even though I like math more, I decided to be a primary physics major so that I could go to Parks College, because then I had to take fewer theology courses because god damn it. Gosh darn it. So yeah, for a bit it's going to seem like I'm not talking about math and physics. That's a ruse. I'm tricking you. So you know those girls on social media who will fish for compliments? They'll like wear half an outfit and take a picture of themselves with a really pouty face and sort of leaning into the camera and be like, I'm so ugly, guys. And then people are like, no, you're beautiful, though. Okay, well, I am absolutely 100% the intellectual equivalent of that. Because I get good grades. Like, people think that I'm smart, but I think that I am the dumbest idiot alive. Like, no matter what my test scores say, they can't keep me down. And like, because I'll be like, wow, I don't know anything about physics. There's no way I'm going to do math. I hate physics more than literally anything. I hate physics more than racism. And then I'll be getting test grades back like 100%, 100%, 110%. And yeah, that's what happens. I'm sure this is like zeroth world problems right now, but it's my problem. And I think that the real problem is that I try to convince myself that I'm cool and I can do all these awesome things, and I make like challenges for myself. So we don't actually do the problems that are assigned. I try to do them in the craziest, worst way possible, basically. And when I'm not doing that, I'm just like doing math for fun. Yeah, that's like a thing I do sometimes. I feel like I should be put on some kind of registry for that. Like a judge hands down a sentence, and then every time I move somewhere, I have to have that conversation with my neighbor where I'm like, hello, my name is Thomas Kevin, and I'm afraid there's something I'm legally obligated to tell you. No, it's not what you think. I do math for fun. You said meth, right? Like the drug? No. Math. No! And that's pretty much how it would go. And then when it's not that, I'm just doing problems in the absolute worst way possible, like in electricity and magnetism, a class that I'm taking this semester. Basically for the first 2 months, we didn't talk about electricity or magnetism at all. We talked about math, but not the cool kind of math I'm down with, but like the scary math, the bogeyman of math that cannot be killed with conventional weapons. We talked about tensors and differential forms and 11sers and differential fivems. It was just terrible. And then we finally had our first homework assignment where we actually talked about electricity. And the problem with something like this, I'm going to describe a physics problem to you. I'm really sorry. But basically, there are 13 charges in a regular polygon. And you don't want your charges all flying all over the place. So they're like Bob Barker's pets. They're fixed. And then you place some charge in the middle of them, and you want to find out what the force on that charge is. Well, obviously it's going to be 0 because all the charges are going to sort of cancel each other out. And I knew that. But instead of just saying that, I wanted to prove that in general, of course, the nth roots of unity sum to 0. Now, I'm sure some of you think that I just started describing some epic loop in Destiny, but that's totally a math thing. Probably, maybe, I think. But I tried to do it anyway, god damn it. And yeah, this reminds me of something that my brother's roommate said when he was at NASA. He just wants smart people to think that he's smart. And I think that I'm kind of the same way. But the problem is that I'm the smartest person I know. So the only person who's smart enough for me to trust them when they say that I'm smart is me. But the problem is that I'm too dumb to just say that I'm smart, even though I'm smart enough to say that I'm smart. And yeah, I think really sort of the basic desire of all humans is closely related to that. Because I think that the desire that all other desires stem from, money, power, streetcars, that one desire is to find someone to convince you that you're not terrible. And I guess that in a way, that's your guys' job here tonight, so good luck. But yeah, NASA. A thing that a lot of people think about NASA is that they sent a man to the moon in 1969, and I actually don't think that's true. I'm a bit of a conspiracy theorist. I tried being a conspiracy experimentalist, but that didn't work out so well. And yeah, I think it was a hoax. I'm not saying, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that we didn't send a man to the moon. On the contrary, I think that we sent a man on the moon in 1967. And then when they were just about to make an announcement, some guy, we'll just call him a fucking hero, said, what if instead we landed on the moon in 1969, like the sex number? And then it was the coolest moment in American history. It's what John F. Kennedy would have wanted. And speaking of presidents, I'm really gonna miss Obama and Joe Biden when they have to leave next year, and not for like political reasons, because I think they're good presidents, because I don't know anything about that. I know nothing about politics. I think that a super PAC is a round yellow dude with a red cape who goes when he dies. But you know, super PAC wouldn't die from eating way too many fucking cherries. Vote Super PAC 2016. But yeah, I think the reason I'm going to miss Obama is because what are the odds that the next president we have is going to be as funny to sarcastically think? Because, like, whenever something doesn't go your way, or, like, your joke falls flat, or you forget the next part of your set, you just say, oh, thanks, Obama. And then people laugh, and it's great. But, like, what other presidents does that work for? Thanks, Taft. Well, it looks like I stand corrected. Thanks, Cherry Guy. Thanks, LBJ. Oh, by the way, that's Spanish for the blowjob. And then there's Joe Biden. I'm probably going to miss him even more because Joe Biden is huge on Twitter. And not because he has an account with more than 700,000 followers, but because everyone makes fun of Joe Biden on Twitter. There's some person nodding. Okay, yes, it's a thing. And they'd probably make fun of him even more than Justin Bieber. Wait, Justin Bieber, Joe Biden, JB. Has anyone ever seen them in the same room? Anyway, basically, they just make him out to be this big, dumb, idiot man-child who's whiter than the paste that he eats. And ideally, I'd be able to say some great Joe Biden tweets at you, but the problem is that would be called stealing. So I can only say my own, Havoc Mantis. Joe changed his last name to Gayden when he realized that girls are yucky. The Vice President of the United States, lurking around Starbucks, asking women if they want a tall cup of Joe. Of course, what he probably didn't realize is that tall is actually the smallest size that they have at Starbucks. But I guess he couldn't measure up to Obama. Thanks, Obama. So, do you guys have any strong opinions about who took home the Nobels last year? You know, the Nobel Prizes, the awards that are awarded to the greatest thinkers of humanity, and the Nobel Peace Prize. Okay, probably the only reason that I bag on the Nobel Peace Prize is because I'm tired of people saying that every prize is a Nobel Peace Prize. If you say Nobel Peace Prize of Physics to a physicist, you're the one that's going to be in pieces. So, yeah. And even better, do you have any opinions on who won the Fields Medal? Does anyone know what the Fields Medal is? Well, it's the highest award in mathematics, and the fact that I have to explain that right now kind of takes away from its status as an award. But it was actually won by a female for the first time ever last year. And did you know that I actually spent the last week trying to remember her name, and then I changed my entire set when I failed to do that? Sure you did. And honestly, like, even after all that, I still don't know what she won it for. I don't even know what kind of thing you would win a Fields Medal for. Like, did someone get a Fields Medal for discovering that if you type 80085 into a calculator, it kind of looks like the word boobs? Or perhaps that was just a lemma for the deeper theorem, that if you type 5138,008 and then apply a phase shift of pi, it kind of looks like the word boobies. No, that could be it. I really don't know. But no one really knows who wins the Nobels, but sort of for comparison, I'm about to ask you a question, and you don't have to answer it out loud, just think about it and see if you know the answer. Who has the oiliest ass on the internet? Not at Havoc Mantis. Not anymore, I deleted those pictures. Now, I'm sure that a lot of you don't know what I'm talking about, and you're horrified, and congratulations, I'm envious of you. But I'm sure that some of you are keeping up. You know the name of the person I'm talking about, you know the name of her husband, and you know which ordinal direction their child is named after. And the fact that we all know that, but we don't know the names of some of the greatest thinkers of our time, I think is shitty, kind of. Didn't really end that well. So yeah, having an oily bottom is really easy. Any college student or not college student could do it. But you know what's really hard, or you know what's really difficult? Quantum mechanics. And probably the hardest thing about quantum mechanics and just any physics in general is trying to explain it to lay people who haven't already learned it. Trying to explain quantum mechanics to someone who doesn't already know is probably harder than trying to explain your browser history to your parents. Because you have a bunch of zany shit that happens. You've got superpositions, bat positions, iron positions. Superheroes was the awesome. Thanks, Obama. Yes. And that's why I've been very cleverly avoiding talking about quantum mechanics up until now, and why I'm very foolishly about to try to explain quantum mechanics to you. So basically, quantum mechanics has a few important rules. There's the first rule of quantum mechanics, which is fuck you. Now, the syntax for this rule is that quantum mechanics is saying fuck you to us, people trying to understand it, and sort of humanity in general. Then there's the second rule of quantum mechanics, which is fuck you. Now, the syntax for this is a bit up for debate. There's some who think that it's merely quantum mechanics reiterating its fuck you towards us, while there are others who think that it's us retaliating and saying fuck you to quantum mechanics, because really, fuck quantum mechanics. The latter is known as the Copenhagen interpretation. Look it up when you get home. People said that no one would get that, but people got that. I'm glad. And then there's the last rule of quantum mechanics. There's a few others, but this is what's really important. And the last rule of quantum mechanics is that if it's your first time doing quantum mechanics, you have to cry. And you know, I actually heard that there's a similar rule for doing stand-up comedy, so...